Not too far, not too close. Eat some ice cream. Then take ice cream. And it's good.
That's all you really need, though. It's
What?
ice cream.
Yeah.
Ice cream and friendship. Movies. Positivity!
That's all you really need in life is some midship. What was the brand again?
Meadow gold.
Metal Gold?
Meadow gold.
Meadow?
Meadow!
Meadow!
Meadow gold mint chip ice cream.
Alright. By the way, we're recording, so.
Yeah, I gathered.
Okay.
We're pros at this.
Yeah.
We've done this all of once and we're pros.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome everyone to the second ever Mag Reviews, where we will be reviewing John Wick 3 today.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh, man.
Now, we have seen both the first and second John Wick movies. In fact, we watched them, 3-4 months ago?
Yeah. Well, I've only seen them all once now.
I've seen them, I saw the first two, I think, twice. And I'd say the first two were probably some of the best action movies ever made in that genre. Assassin movies. Because the choreography is so fantastic, the realism of it, so like the amount of ammo a gun holds, stuff like that, the tactics of how to move through a building. Keanu Reeves spent a lot of time training and actually doing all that stuff. He knows how to do it all. And the first two are just such solid movies. Personally, I like the first one the best because it had such a good soundtrack and the techno music and the rave scene inside the big club. That was it was just so good. Same thing with the second one, just as good. But then we come to the third one, and I have slightly different opinions.
Now, it's been a few months since I've seen the first two, and I know the plot and what they were about. And this one comes off of how the second one just ended.
Yeah, immediately, minutes after the second one ends, that's where the third one begins.
Now, the thing is, I'm not as much of a fanboy as you are about this. Like, I like them, and I think I like the first one more than the second one, yeah. And this one, I honestly don't know. Like, there's a lot I liked about it. But just off the top of my head, I don't know if I liked it more than the other two.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just...
Well,
something...
Starting off, I guess we have to do our spoiler-free review. And so before we jump into it and start spoiling it all, I'd say John Wick 3 is a solid movie. It doesn't really outshine the first two. And in fact, some of the parts to it kind of brought me out of the movie a little bit, whereas the first one had me like fully into it.
Yeah.
I was never like taken out while saying like, oh, that's super unrealistic. There's a lot more unrealistic moments in John Wick 3, just over the top kind of stuff. On the whole, it's really good. If you like that type of hyper-violent, bloody movie, you'll love it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a bloodbath, to say the least.
It's like Jason Bourne, but a step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the whole, I really do like it. It's a good John Wick movie. It doesn't necessarily outshine the first two, but it's not terrible.
In my opinion, I think the action was just as good in terms of the choreography and the sound and the sound of the movie and the pacing. I liked everything about it. It's just there were a few fight scenes, not to spoil it, but there's near the end, there were a couple fight scenes that just kind of kept going.
They just never ended.
And I knew John Wick was like super tough, and I'm watching this like, okay, he is literally Superman.
Yeah,
no one can do this.
Superhuman levels. It's like that. I don't know about that one.
I don't know.
Well, now we'll give our spoiler warning. We're gonna jump straight into all the spoilers, like detailed scenes, that kind of stuff.
First, personal recommendation. I think everyone should watch it. that's of age and can see it. Don't sneak
Yeah.
into this one.
You-
Don't no.
if you're the kind of person that's uneasy around blood and you can't eat at the same time,
Like I'm
Don't-
eating.
we could honestly sit down and watch John Wick 3 with a bowl of ice cream and be just happy. But if you're grossed out by blood, this movie will gross you out. There's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can call it unnecessary amounts, but there is a lot.
I noticed that compared to the other two, where there might have been more. I almost felt like it's weird for me to say this, but I almost felt like the other two had more specific gun violence, and then this one mixed it up in a way I liked. But then it's like more blood.
Yeah.
Like, somehow they managed to do it.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Anyways, spoiler time, right?
Spoilers.
Whatever. Click away or go watch it or keep
Or if you don't
watching.
care about spoilers, if you're one of those weird people that likes the movie spoiled before watching it, you're weird.
Yee to your ha. Let's go.
But first, some ice cream.
Oh yes.
Because these Meadow Gold is definitely not a sponsor.
Oh no.
I don't think that's too ambitious, getting a sponsor on our second ever review.
Yeah, you know, it's
Pros
go big or
episode.
go home. And this
Yeah.
ice cream is amazing. Mint chocolate chip is the best.
So, starting off, the movie John Wick 3 immediately picks up after John Wick 2. So in John Wick 2 it ends with John Wick 2 has been excommunicated from like their assassin order cult in the Continental in their safe house, and he's excommunicated and a bounty's put on his head because he killed somebody on the Continental Hotel's grounds. So he's now going to be killed, and that's where the third one starts off. Is he's got an hour to run away, get as far as he can. He's in New York City before the kill contract goes live. And honestly, there's hardly any dialogue in the movie. Like for the first like 30 minutes, I don't think there's probably fewer than 100 words said. It was just John Wick running and fighting for his life like mad in New York.
Was it 2 fight scenes or 3 in the first like you're saying the chunk of that movie?
I believe it was 2 fight scenes, and one of the fight scenes had to have been 12 minutes. I mean, it went on forever.
It was kind of like they're fighting different. They move and keep fighting, and then they move.
Yeah, there's like a whole moving battle as he's trying to get away to wherever he's going. Hide.
Which I liked.
It was cool, but that brought us to one of the very first over the top moments.
Which
they
one?
go into a shop that's like full of antique guns and knives, and John Wick is fighting a whole bunch of assassins that are going after him to get the kill for the bounty for him, and they start all these knife fights.
Oh
And
yeah.
just the knife fighting went on forever. It wasn't too bad. Like I wasn't like annoyed that it went on for so long, but you were thinking this is a really long fight. Like when is he gonna kill these guys?
Yeah, I feel like they could have made it a little quicker. Like if he had killed him just a minute faster, I would have been like, "Oh, that's cool." But
Yeah,
it kind of, yeah. And then some of those guys took like what 5 knives before they.
yeah,
died.
they're getting stabbed so many times and not going down.
They're like mini Wicks, basically. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because they're Asian. Not to be racist, but
That's a
pretty
compliment.
good with knives.
That's a
and
compliment,
hand
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go down without a fight. That didn't take me out of it personally.
The only thing I noticed is maybe I need to watch the first and second ones again, because it seemed to me that in this third one, especially in the knife fighting, with the first 2, the choreography was done so well. There was never like a second of hesitation.
Yeah.
And you know how a lot of action movies, they have that one at a time, like the attackers come one, this guy's standing here with the gun and not shooting the guy. It's like one at a time kind of fights.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the first and second ones, you didn't notice that at all. So fast paced. In this third one though, there was several times where I noticed some of like the background assassin stunt guys, I guess. They would kind of hesitate, and I was thinking if that was truly real, he would have gone in at that moment to killed John Wick. I just felt like it almost needed to be a little bit quicker, like how he fought and killed people, because he'd stab a guy twice, break his arm or something, he'd roll off to the side, he'd start fighting the next guy, and then that guy would get back up again after having his arm broken and stabbed twice.
Yeah.
Like, there was almost too much of that, so it just kept to be, like, one at a time. Only in, like, the really well-lit scenes. Like this one that we're talking about, the whole knife shop was very bright, so you really noticed the other people kind of hesitating, whereas in some of the later gunfights, which like really murky and dark, you don't see as much hesitation in the stunt guys, because you're thinking in your head, well, if they just pushed up a little bit right now, they could easily just shoot him and kill him, but they're like hesitating.
Yeah.
There was some of that, which kind of brought the movie down a little bit lower than the first and second for me, just because of the realism factor. It was still good, and then the end of the knife fight scene when he's throwing knives and killing people with throwing knives, just hucking them into people as fast as he can. One thing I really liked that I noticed, I've actually thrown knives. I have some throwing knives, and I've thrown them before. It is very difficult to get them to stick into a target, because you have to like keep taking a step forward and a step back to get the rotation of the knife correct.
Yeah.
In the fight scene, you notice several times where they throw knives at each other and it hits on a flat side and like doesn't cause any damage, other than just having a knife hit.
I like that. That was
a really nice touch, because it's extremely difficult to throw knives and actually have them stick into something, let alone kill somebody with a knife.
Yeah.
So that was one of the nice points to that fight.
I also liked, I'm not sure if it was that fight, but there were several times where Wick, or even another character, but Wick would use a knife to like freaking stab someone's head, and he would have to cram it in there.
Yeah,
like some movies, they're like, it's like butter, where it's just like, you stab someone's head with a knife. He's like, he sticks it in, he has to hit it into the skull because it's thick, the skull.
Yeah, and that was
brutal.
Part of the gore.
Yeah,
it was like, yes,
pretty brutal, honestly.
There was some serious gore.
Can we talk about the fact that he will shoot a guy like in the body twice and then in the head, and he'll turn around and shoot him in the head like 3 more times? That's a little wasteful of bullets, honestly.
There was a couple times where
like he's dead,
Yeah, like that's one of a realistic thing though, is if you shoot somebody and you have them down on the ground, you'd finish them off with a point blank headshot or shots to the chest. And that's what the first and second did. But a couple of times in the third one, like you said, he'd shoot him twice in the chest and in the head, and then just randomly 3 more shots to the chest.
It's like he's dead.
He's dead. Calm down. Don't waste the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another point that kind of brought it a little bit lower than the first two, is that in my memory of the first 2 John Wick movies, I didn't notice him doing that much. It was very clean. 2 to the chest, 1 head, 2 to the chest, 1 head, just repeating over and over and over again. And I guess they just wanted to turn up the violence and intensity of it by having him shoot more, I guess. I don't know. I didn't mind it too much, but you did notice it.
Yeah. The thing I did like about this one more than the second one is that the second one, even though the middle and end of the movie are different, the beginning is kind of the same. Some dudes do something that involves his house and livelihood, and he gets mad. This movie is different than the other 2, is it just picks up at the end of the second one, and it's just action all the way through. That I did appreciate. So when I take that into account of why I like the first one more than the second one, I like that in the third over the second, how it's just original. I do think, though, the soundtrack, I liked it a lot.
But
and
it wasn't as good, was it?
Something about rave music and ultra violence.
The first 2 had those scenes.
Yeah, that's good.
Where they were in, what was the first one? They were in a club, big nightclub. Second one, they were at like a big rave, basically outside in an abandoned castle area with lasers.
Yeah, lasers.
The intense techno music is just like, oh yes, it was so good. I was a little disappointed that this one didn't have a fight like that with the music. they focus more on the sound effects of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear them just get the
Yeah.
over and over and over again. There really wasn't a ton of music to it.
The big fight in this one that's kind of comparable is when they're in where is it? When he goes Morocco, yeah.
Yeah.
And they have that big fight with the chick and her doggos.
Yeah.
And her doggos are like Call of Duty dogs, just wrecking everything. And I liked how they did that fight the first half, like no music, and then it transitioned into music.
Yeah, that was.
I like that. It's just the absence of like a rave fight scene is just kind of noticeable now. Like I was like,
It
oh,
feels
I was
like
hoping
that's
for it.
John Wick. Cause it's
Yeah.
like, those were the best parts of the first and second one.
And they kind of had that opportunity near the end with that whole area he was fighting in, but they didn't go for it.
Yeah.
So, what else? All right. I know how how this society works with their hierarchies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Why does the guy that's above is it the table or what is it
why he's like some weird like.
Yeah, the guy on
caravan,
top,
like, Middle Eastern guy in the caravan in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle, yeah, the guy that's on top of the on
This one
top.
felt.
It was like what?
So in John Wick 1 and 2, you just kind of like figured like, oh yeah, assassin, secret society kind of deal. John Wick 3 made it a lot more of a cult, I would say.
Yeah.
It was a cult, basically an assassin cult, and like the head dude. They're taking like the whole Middle Eastern part because I believe that's where assassins originated. Like when you think of assassin, a curved knife, somebody slipping in the night and killing you. That was originally developed, or that style of warfare and that kind of stuff was invented in the Middle East, particularly in Israel, I think during the Roman Empire. I don't remember what they were called. It's actually in an Assassin's Creed video game, one I haven't played, but...
You're getting your information from a video game.
No, but yes, at the same time.
Hi, I'm Gloria Bolga here.
It still counts.
All right, okay.
I think they were called the Bedouins, maybe? I'm not sure, but that's where it originated, is that assassins originated in the Middle East, so that's where they kind of pulled that kind of strange scene from.
I just really wasn't buying it. I mean...
Yeah, it's a lot harder to believe. It's easier to believe when you just think that they're an assassin secret society kind of deal.
Yeah.
With like a hierarchy of the high table. But like the dude above it and like the favors and like asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And swearing fidelity to the high table. Like it was a lot more cult.
Yeah. And that did not click with me. It was just the fact of where they were, the setting.
Yeah.
And I was
didn't
thinking
fit with the other two as well.
Yeah, this guy, I could buy him. It's the fact that he's in the location in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. You know there's no cell service. How is he coordinating being in charge of everything?
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
Unrealistic, yeah.
Yeah,
And strange. It wasn't a bad point. It was just could have been handled better or done differently.
Also the fact that he starts the movie at the Continental, runs for his life, fights, goes to, where he needs to go, goes to find him, and then comes all the way back with a lot of fighting in between. And they have more fighting in there. It's like a point A to C, and then go back all the way to A while retracking your steps through B.
Yeah.
It was...
There's a lot more traveling around in this one.
Which I didn't mind, but it was so like... You went here, and then back. We didn't go anywhere, if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And just thinking about the first two were so good that it would be very difficult for the third one to follow up and be even better. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that it's really just a sequel. It's not really bad. It's not excellent. It's just kind of on par with some points here and there that just kind of could have handled better, could have done differently. But in the end, it was still enjoyable. Yeah. Still lots of gore.
There's things in this that I liked more, and I like the fact that, because the first one, it's like, oh, that's a lot of headshots. The second one, oh my goodness, how can they do more headshots? The third one, I'm glad they didn't try to up it even more because that would have been dumb.
There's actually a lot less guns.
There's
a lot of knife fighting and a lot of hand-to-hand combat.
Which I liked. It's just, it kind of, those fights went on a little too long.
Yeah.
Especially that end one when he goes from point A, the Continental,
Yep.
and then all the way back, and they have that big fight at the end. And it's like a video game boss round where you fight the little minions, then you get to like the mini boss, and then you go to the boss. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, where is his health bar? Does he regenerate between fights?
Yeah. He was taking so much damage fighting these people because in order to extend these fights, as long as they did, they made it so that the other guys would get their arms broken or whatever. They keep getting up and just keep fighting, which in a way is realistic, but when you're fighting hundreds of people, you can't take 5 minutes to fight each one in a hyper-realistic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, another unrealistic thing is, in the first two, John Wick didn't, like, get hit or shot as much. And when he was shot or hit, like, it seemed like he felt it a little bit more and reacted to it a little bit harsher. Like, he gets shot once in the guts, in the first one, and, like, that's enough to almost kill him. But in this one, he's stabbed multiple times, shot multiple times, and he has like his bulletproof suit. He falls out of buildings. He falls down a whole flight of stairs. He's getting kicked by dozens of people, getting kicked, and he's just not slowing down. I mean,
he must have been kicked like 20 times.
Yeah, into glass. His head slammed into glass, and he just seemed to just be a Superman and tough it out and get over it. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But when you look back at the first two, you realize that you didn't take that much damage. And,
It's a good movie. It's just when you compare,
it's more over the top.
That's
what it comes down to. Is it's kind of the opposite of what you expect. So John Wick 1 and 2 were so realistic and good that John Wick 3 being so over the top makes it not as good. But when you compare John Wick 3 to other over-the-top action movies, it's way better than the over-the-top movies.
Yeah.
So that it's like it almost doesn't even fit in its own genre, in a way.
It's weird. It's like a live-action anime, dude. Like, the protagonist just keeps getting up.
It is. He just will not die, no matter how badly he gets beaten.
Through the power of love? I don't know. It is love, right? Yeah, it's his dead wife.
Yeah, it is love.
It is love.
It's all for the memory of his girlfriend or whatever, so he's just like...
And his dog.
I mean, that's perfectly normal. For the memory of your dog and girlfriend, you kill a couple thousand people in brutal ways.
I'd do it.
Makes total sense.
Wow.
I don't see the problem.
I mean, I'd kill for more of this ice cream.
Whips out a shotgun. I'm in danger.
Oh, I gotta talk about the effects in this movie because
Spectacular.
Really good. It's like freaking that first knife fight with those Asian guys that were really cool, really skilled knife fighters. Like he gets the last guy down, and he has like a knife. He has him pinned like that, and he goes and the knife. I thought they were gonna cut or something and just have him like scream, but no, they show it like slowly entering his eye socket.
A close-up shot of a guy getting stabbed into the eye slowly.
I don't know how they did that.
Looked so realistic. Like it made me in my seat kind of go like.
Yeah, I have a thing about eyeballs. It was like, whoa.
It was nasty.
It was good. That did not look CG.
Yeah, it did not.
It must have been like a prosthetic or something.
This, honestly, for the gunshot, for an action movie, no, not compared to war movies, but for an action movie, John Wick has always seemed to have the most realistic looking wounds, gore, and like bullet entry and exit wounds. It always seems to have the most realistic.
It's very consistent, except for how inconsistent this movie was. That is consistent, yeah. The realism.
Yeah, that kept it up. And it's just so many. There's so many fights. I think the movie was honestly, 30%, 40% dialogue at best.
Yeah.
The rest of it was just fighting,
Pretty
gunshots, people going, getting hit over and over again.
Yeah. What else?
I mean, and the way, I don't know if I'm skipping too far ahead, but the way it ends,
Kind of jump back and forth. I mean,
it doesn't matter, but the way the movie ends, I was under the opinion and kind of hoping that it'd be a trilogy and that's how it would end. Well, it doesn't. The way it ends is there's gonna be a fourth John Wick movie. It will happen because after getting betrayed in the end by the Continental Hotel owner,
which I honestly didn't see coming, and I
there's a
thought
good
it was out
twist
of
at the
character
end.
though.
I mean, there are assassins, so it doesn't really matter. They'll kill each other to get whatever they want and hold power.
True.
But so the Continental hotel owner, who you see in both the first and second one, he is going to get killed by the High Table, but then he fights back and ends up basically gaining back the High Table's favor because he proves he's still strong. But in order to do that, he kills John Wick in a way. Shoots him.
I thought he
and,
was shooting with blanks.
Pushes him off a building, and he falls like 6 stories and lands down on the street.
Yeah, can we explain how he survives this after
There's no
all those
explanation for how he
fights?
survives the final like injuries that he received. He should have died. That was another thing that really brought me out of it.
Yeah,
And that made him feel like more superhuman is the fact that he didn't die from a 5-6 story building fall.
mm-hmm. If that was like the first like holy crap, that had just happened. Yes, but he had a
He'd
huge
been fighting
prolonged.
for the past like 2 days
Yeah.
straight.
Those
Getting kicked and stabbed.
out of 20 kicks in the movie, 15 of those kicks were the 10 minutes prior. Those 2 other Asian dudes, or what were they? You know, martial
Yeah.
artists kicking him through glass. Oh, I'm getting up. Oh, I'm getting up. Oh, I'm getting up. No. Just no. And can we talk about Mr. Baldy One Punch Man and how corny his lines were? And he was like a fanboy of John Wick.
Yeah.
What was
it's
that
like a
about?
Weird, like assassin that's going out to kill John Wick, but is also like a big fan of his.
Yeah.
There's some
I didn't buy that.
cringy but funny dialogue in a way. It just didn't fit, I guess, with the feel of the movie.
Some of it was good, but then some of it, like after he, like cuts him up, like cutting his limbs so he can't use them, and then stabbing him with a katana through the chest, and
That
John
should've
Wick
been the
gets
end of
up.
the fight, and then the dude with the sword sticking through him like sits up. Is like, that was a good fight.
Give me a second, I'll catch my breath.
Yeah, with
Like
the sword
what?
through you.
What? And it's like right here. That's right next to your heart.
Yeah,
You're dead, unless you're John Wick. Then you're not dead.
Then you survive. Yeah,
Uh,
the movie was just a violence trip. If you're in the need, if you feel the need to see a lot of violence for some reason, just watch this movie. You'll be satisfied for the rest of your life.
yes. Are you mad at your coworkers? Are your classmates getting you down? John Wick 3 is the movie for you.
But yeah, it sets it up for another one. I guess I'm excited to see the next one, but I also kind of wish they just like wrapped it up. The way I personally wanted it to end was John Wick fighting and just running for the whole movie, and at the very end, like there's a certain assassin that was like really after him and hasn't been killed yet. There's like a final battle between John and the assassin, and you like suspect that they kill each other, but there's like people that go to the scene of the fight, and they're like, wasn't anybody there, and John Wick is missing, and you just kind of assume he just got away and just lived the rest of his happy life with his dog. That's what I was honestly hoping for, and that it would end as a trilogy. That's not what happens, and I'm not necessarily upset about it, but I feel like if they run on too long with it, it could just start to get worse and worse.
See, I'm close to the same thing. I think this should have ended here, but I think he legit should have just died. Like, encountered an assassin, and the assassin used underhanded tactics and killed him.
Yeah.
I think he should have died in this one. Boycott this movie. This movie sucks. Don't watch it. He doesn't die. Spoiler alert. No, it was a good movie. I just don't know if it's better than the other two.
I wouldn't say it's definitely not better, but it's not awful is the consensus.
Oh, it's a great action movie.
I also think it's like the runtime of it is longer. I believe this John Wick 3 was 2 hours and 4 minutes. I don't think the other ones were that long. I think they were under 2-hour movies.
Yeah. So my main issues are there's some corniness with one of the main assassins.
Yep.
Some of the fights are just too long and he takes too much damage to be believable.
Yeah.
And then some stylistic choices like for fighting, how the first two had like, oh, there's the John Wick rave scene. This is awesome. This one doesn't have it. I wish it had it. Those three things are kind of like, they're just not as good as the other two. That's for me, at least.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's just some pieces to the fight scenes that just didn't flow as well when you think of John Wick. And it was missing the rave scene, yeah. But I guess if it kept repeating it over and over again, it'd start to feel like the new Star Wars movies and be stale. And just completely rip off.
Oh, Disney's gonna ban us.
Previous movies. But it was good. So I guess we now need to move into our final 1 out of 10, or a scale of 1 to 10 ratings for the movie. Now, personally, I'm gonna say my rating for John Wick 1. I'd give that one a 8 out of 10. I'd give the second one a 7 out of 10. And then I'd give this one like a 6. No. I'd give this one a 7 out of 10 as well.
Really?
Yeah, John Wick 3 is a 7 out of 10.
Huh.
Almost 6 out of 10, but...
See, that's funny, because I'd give the first an 8, and I'd give the second an 8. Because to me, they're practically, like I said, they start the same, but then the rest is kind of different. And the first one, there's stuff in that I like, and stuff I don't. And then the second one improves in certain spots, but then in certain spots, it's like, it's not as good. So I do like the first more, but I think they're about the same. This, though, I have to agree, I think it's a 7.
Yeah.
And
even that might be generous. Like, a 7 is the best they can possibly get for me.
Well,
I'm just sticking with the 7 right now.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Like 5 is average. 6 and 7 is above, and then 8 and 9 is good, and then 10
out
is
of 10
perfect.
is impossible.
10 out of 10 is just a perfect movie, which 90% of movies
exist
are not.
Besides Lord of the Rings. See, it's really hard to come up with a perfect movie. It just doesn't really happen. So, I guess we're both saying
In-game?
John Wick 3, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
Solid, good movie.
Good action movie.
Good action movie.
All right, well, we hope you all enjoyed our John Wick 3 mag review. Also, the first one with video. We're doing video now.
Yeah!
So, let us know in the comments if you enjoyed the video portion. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, look at these faces.
I see this as an absolute win.
Avengers Endgame reference.
Thank you for
so
watching.
Many references.
That's funny. Oh, frick with it. Ooh. Oh, I never knew I could do this. I have the power.
The scroll has given him powers.
No. I never knew I could do this. Oh, wow, this is cool. I'm going to leave this in the video. Wow.
If it even picks that up.
Yeah, I think it will. So I could I can see my foots. Here, let's play footsie.
No, get
Bro.
Stop it with the gay crap.
2 bros, 2 feet apart.
We're definitely not gay.